Could this be West Ham's opportunity to finally take control of the London Stadium? Let's talk about it. Hello West Ham Network, it's Holly. If you're new around here, make sure you've subscribed. If you enjoyed this video, please do give us a thumbs up so we know that you have liked it. Today we are going to be talking about how now could be the perfect time for West Ham to finally take control of the London Stadium. It's a topic we've spoken about many times over the years, of the different amounts of responsibility that we have over what happens in the stadium. Currently we have very little say in what happens, but could it change? So let's have a little chat. So as we know, we currently spend £4 million in rent on the London Stadium each year, having signed a 99-year lease back in 2013 when it all began at the London Stadium for us. But a change in the London Legacy Development Corporation, very exciting term, means that the LLDC could be open to West Ham approaching them for an updated deal. And there are different ways that this updated deal could happen. We're going to chat about it in a little bit more depth, from a longer lease to actually being able to have a little bit more power. So this is because their chairman, Lord Peter Hendy, and CEO Lynn Garner, they are leaving on the 30th of November, and this ends the planning policy and decisions team. But their planning authority basically is gone, and these planning powers are going to be returned to the local London boroughs. But how does this actually present an opportunity for us? What does this mean? So with a far smaller team, it does make sense for them to do a longer lease to get rid of a massive headache. They don't have to put as much effort in. There's not the ongoing discussions, and it basically means it's one less thing for them to worry about. And this has already been done elsewhere within the area. So Everyone Active have taken over the London Aquatic Centre operations, as well as the ArcelorMittal Orbit site. I think I've pronounced that correctly. The big slide that you can see up over here, poking over the stadium there. Their external stadiums, external spaces and the podium bar, they are being leased to a company called Peppermint Events as part of a 7-year deal. So they're basically handing off areas that they just don't have to deal with it, which means that there's an opportunity for us to be in a similar situation and take the opportunity while it's there. So if we wanted to take back full control of the stadium, or take full control, we never really had it, it's thought that this would cost a fair bit more than the £4 million rent that we currently pay. However, it is currently costing the taxpayer significant sums of money, so they could be quite keen to offload it. Could be worth us trying our luck. This is made up of £2 million council tax, £2 million on gas, electricity and water. It costs a further £4 million to move the seats, then wages of approximately £3.5 million. And then there's another £4.5 million per year spent on the likes of security, maintenance, cleaning, stewarding, all those kind of bits and bobs of the yearly things that occur at the stadium. So this means that London Stadium 185 suggests that running costs total around £16 million per year. So essentially, outside of whatever deal could be made and the cost of that, we would be looking at an additional cost of 12 million on top of the 4 million rent that we currently pay, another 12 million that we would need to find to reach those 16 million pound running costs. That said, I think there could be some significant savings made. For example, not having to regularly move the seating, or running the catering ourselves instead of it being outsourced in the way that it currently is. I obviously don't know the numbers behind all of this, but what I'm trying to say is there probably are ways that if you run something just as a football stadium, or maybe still use it as a music event, just cover the pitch, but not have to move such drastic things like the seats moving back and forth and trying to switch between the likes of athletics and football, I think we could make some savings there. So it might not be as bad as the £16 million running costs. And again, if you've got the same teams of stewards, as soon as you start outsourcing things, it does get a lot more expensive. So I'd like to think if we brought things in-house and looked at how we could do it, we could do it. And we've done it before, obviously at the Berlin. We know what we're doing in terms of being able to steward. We've spoken about how good the stewards were back then compared to what we have now. So you would like to think there'd be big improvements should we be able to actually take this back into our own hands. And for me, all of this stuff will play such a key role in actually being able to improve that match day experience. Because let's talk about just the catering side of things. being able to get a pint at half time and get back to your seat without missing 10 minutes of the second half. Just things like this will make such a massive difference. Where currently the stadium is not set up to make this possible, is it? It was set up for athletics. It did a great job for athletics. It was made for a sport where people came in dribs and drabs. And then suddenly we've got everyone trying to get food and a drink at half time over a 15-minute gap all at once. And lo and behold, the setup we've currently got doesn't work for that. So if we could make changes, obviously all of this would cost more money. It could make for a far better experience and make it feel a lot more like home than I suppose it currently does. But would you like to see West Ham take control of the stadium if possible? For me, I definitely would, because I think this could be the beginning of making changes that suit a football audience, rather than trying to make it this mix and match venue that switches between athletics, monster trucks and football. Plus, while we would obviously have to find that extra 12 million-ish to spend on, I'd prefer for it to be spent on players, for example, rather than the stadium. I believe that we could make this money back through the likes of naming rights, which when we have more freedom over the stadium and what this would come with in terms of, if we currently sold naming rights, would they be happy for us to put the Coca-Cola Stadium or whatever it may be up on top of the stadium when then it's being used for other purposes throughout the year? There's all these discussions that currently it has to be agreed on by a lot of different parties. Whereas if the stadium's ours, we can actually do what we want with it. And we could create assets. We could have a lot more places where brand exposure happens. So without going too far into it, which we definitely can in another video, if you want me to delve properly into the depths of it, drop a comment and I can. But I think if the stadium's ours, that there are a lot more opportunities for revenue to be recovered for this. Just sponsorships in general, we could do a lot more. And to put this into perspective, Man City's naming rights are worth £15 million a year. So it is all technically recoverable, but it does rely on the club upping the sponsorship side of the business significantly. And I used to work in sponsorship, so I know how many nuances there are within it. And I actually find it really interesting. I'm a proper little sponsorships nerd. So if you'd like me to make a video, just let me know and I will. But what I'm trying to say is there are ways that this isn't going to just cost us another however many million per year. I think it could be an opportunity for us to really step things up sponsorship wise and sort of take, I suppose you look at the top six. So I'm going off on such a tangent here. You look at the top six and you look at clubs like Man United, are one that actually do it very, very well. The sponsorship side of stuff, the way that they get sponsorships on board, the naming rights, the assets, the deliverables that they have for the people that invest back in the club are massive compared to what we do and compared to what most teams in the Premier League do, to be honest. So if this is something that you can do, basically what I'm saying is West Ham need to go and poach the sponsorship teams from those that are doing it really well in the Premier League as well as overseas. Look at American sports. They do incredibly well. NFL, those that do the sponsorships for things like the Super Bowl are on like an entirely new level. So you poach these people, you come bring them to the London Stadium with their ideas, and we step it up an entire level. And this then creates funds that helps our financial fair play. All sorted. Don't worry, guys, we've got this in hand. So that's the end of my rant of how we make this happen. But could this be, stepping back to all of this, longer lease or potentially being able to gain back more control? Could this be the next step towards us having more control over what we do with the stadium? And do you think this could improve the match day experience? And also, realistically, I know what we're going to say, go back to the Blin, do all these things differently. If you had the London Stadium as it is right now, drop a comment with what you think the main changes that need to happen are, and don't just say make it better or anything like that. I want specific things that you think we could actually do to the stadium without costing an arm and a leg, because we don't want it to impact on financial fair play and how much we can actually invest on things we want, like transfers. What would you change about the stadium to make a difference to what we currently have? Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. But that is all from me for now. I'm going to stop talking because otherwise I'll just chat forever about sponsorships and things. But tune in at 5 p.m. where I'm going to be running you through your Hammers headlines for today. Have a great day. It's good to chat with you all. And until next time, come on, you Irons. Irons. Irons.